Welcome to the Killshot MMA podcast. It's UFC 303. International Fight Week is here every year. It is supposed to be the biggest card of the year. We got a pretty good one this year. The mega fight fell out, McGregor and Chandler. I would argue we got some more competitive fights, some more last-minute changes to cover, but we're going to talk all things DraftKings. Got some bets sprinkled in, all the good stuff here. I'm Sniper, the man, the myth, the legend. Geek is right next to me, down below where he belongs, beneath us, right, guys? Sorry, I couldn't not do that to you, Monk. It is the master, master of stats. I'll give him his props now. The master of stats, Monk Maddox.
There we
guys,
go.
I think we got a pretty good DFS card to attack this weekend. We've had some success in DFS Army the last 2 weeks with not great cards to attack. We got a good one here. You guys jacked up for this fight card?
Man, I almost took it down last week again. My strategic fate of Kelvin Gastelum fucked me in the end, but I couldn't have been more on point with where it was going up until that. And then I'm watching it going, man, I faded this
Four
guy.
takedowns. Finally,
I had
he goes for
7
takedowns.
lineups that were close. Yeah, it was just I was
Unbelievable.
watching it and just knowing I was like, yep, he's scoring. So let's get it. Let's take it down for a paper. I'm turning into like a Joe Rogan over here, only showing up for the UFC for the pay-per-views.
I know you've been quite. It's like football season started already. So
you know what? It's shockingly busy around here with getting ready for football. We've got best ball season rankings out. We're actually republishing the rankings so you can download them, upload direct to Underdog and DraftKings. So best ball season going full blast. We've been killing it on NASCAR and all the other things. So it's been an exciting run, and the bets killed it last week too. So I'm ready. I got a lot of bets on for this one. Let's hope that we can keep it going.
Let's do it, guys. Just so you know, to get access to all of that stuff, MMA Domination Station, which is the optimizer. There's a props package that myself and Will are a part of. All those links are down below. I won't spend a whole minute for it. Some weeks I do. I know it's an exciting card. Maybe a lot of new people. Check out the links down below. Join DFS Army. Great deals, discount codes, deposit matches, all the good shit down below. More notes for this specific card if you're an MMA guy, and tons of stuff to attack. Even though we don't have football, basketball, or hockey, we're still cranking out some profit. And you know what? Football's right around the corner. It's coming. Yep. I am jacked up and ready. But for now, let's turn the page. Let me switch our view here, and let's talk about the main event. We're going to get things going right off the bat. And I will say, stick around to the end, because honestly, I think two of my strongest takes and fights are actually the first two fights of the night. It's International Fight Week, and I'm going to have a lot decided by 7:30. It's really scary. But we'll start with the last fight first. The big names. Alex Pereira, Yuri Prohaska for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. It is a rematch. Controversial stoppage last time out. They run it back. DraftKings prices for this fight. Pereira, the champion, he's 8,500. The comeback on Yuri Prohaska is 7,700. Your odds for this fight. I'm going to go with DraftKings odds this week, minus 142 for Pereira. Prohaska is plus 120. Geek, since you are the Joe Rogan, the big name player, you start us off for the main event.
Yeah, main event. Listen, right off the bat, obviously, I wish Connor was here. That would have been, let me just get to the difference.
The amount of money I would have had a Michael Chandler, though, would have been
Yuri Pereira versus, if Connor's on the card, and this is the difference between what this UFC could have been and what it is. If Connor's on the card, my friends are coming over to watch who are not UFC fans. Okay?
Yep.
This is your non-UFC friends. They don't know who these guys are, and they don't care. So big difference in the card. Listen, this fight already happened once. And if you watched it through, and I'm sure everybody has rewatched it, Yuri was doing pretty good in the first round and a half, and he got caught. But, that's what Perez is going to do. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do it again. Did Yuri have success getting takedowns? Yeah, he was able to get him down. Was Pereira in trouble when he was off his back? My take was no. He was never really in a lot of trouble, and he was always going to get back up. So, I don't know. I see it playing out the same. I think Alex is more dangerous the second time around. When you watch him in the octagon, he is measuring up his opponent. Yuri's a really weird kind of fighter. Very unorthodox, very weird with his angles and everything. And I think, having experience against him is going to help Alex here. And I think Pereira gets it done. probably in very similar fashion, somewhere in the second, maybe third round gets this finish. And that's kind of how I see this one going down. I think it scores well enough. You should have exposure, of course, to this fight, but mostly probably Perea.
How about for you, Monk?
Excuse me. I probably agree with a lot of that. Most of the time, some of these rematches, unfortunately, I'm the stat guy. I don't have the stat to back up what I'm about to say, but a lot of the times the rematch kind of follows suit as the first fight did. So
I disagree with that overall.
Yeah, and that's like I said, I can't substantiate that. I don't have the number.
That'd be a good project for you. I'd be interested in the rematch project.
That is an acquirable statistic.
There is one that I was looking at that doesn't have really anything to do with this fight. Pay-per-view cards so far in 2024, and I definitely want to go back and look at 2023. So many favorites win. I think it was 11 out of 13 in 303, 11 out of 13 or something. 10 out of 13, something 11, 11, and 10. So a very double-digit favorites winning. So I don't know about a ton of dogs this week, but like I said, I'm picking Pereira. I do want to roster both sides of this in GPPs. Look, Prochazka historically has the much, much better DraftKings scoring upside. His ceiling is immeasurably higher. I guess not immeasurably. That's what our numbers are for. Much, much higher. But Pereira did look good, obviously, against Hill, scored 110 points basically in his last outing, did get that first round KO. That is not something that he is, used to doing in the UFC. Obviously, round 5, Israel, round 2, Israel 3, round 2 in the last Yuri fight. So I'm not really expecting 90 bonus points for Mr. Pereira here. I don't know if he scores well. I do love that it's a 5-round fight, but his volume is sitting, right around 5 strikes a minute, probably less on average, especially if you take out that Hill fight. So I like Prochazka's ceiling, but I like Pereira to win. So I'm going to have a little bit of both sides. I'm not going to go crazy with the main event. Do love that it is 5 rounds. And if this does somehow end up on the ground, I love the non-significant strike factor. So I'll probably be around average to this one. I really want to see DFS Army's ownership projections before I make any decisions on this fight. Very excited for it. Love both sides picking the champ.
I have an interesting DFS take for this one in that I picked Pereira, but barely. And Yuri is, I think, the much better DFS play. And I don't think you have to me, throw stat-wise, honestly, for what I expect to happen for Pereira, throw away the Hill fight, throw away all the Adesanya fights, throw away the... They don't matter. We saw last time out, and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. Yuri's going to try and wrestle him because you saw what he did, and he got knocked out last time eating those Travis Brown elbows to the side of the head, and the stoppage was questionable. Like, he was hurt bad. Man, I want to see that fight keep going. Does it end the same way? Probably he was hurt, but I mean, we've seen weirder stuff. People recover. He's got the right game plan here. He can hold Pereira down. Yeah, Pereira maybe gets up. I didn't think he looked great, but even if he gets up, honestly, if Yuri just does what he did last time, what did Alex score last time against Prochazka? What was the score in that fight?
Give me 1 second. Of course, I moved on to the next fight. It was 97.6.
It's honestly better than I thought. Because if he holds him down for a round, it takes away a lot of the ceiling. I just like Prochazka because his path to victory is the takedowns. He's going to score better. Where if Pereira waits for the second round, is a low volume first round, which can happen in rematches, he's not guaranteed to be in the nuts. This is not an all-in fight. This is not a cash game stackable fight. Go other places. Right. If you want to play, I can make the argument, don't play either side of this in cash games. I would say my preferred play is Prochazka for the price savings, but I'm still picking Pereira. I probably don't play it at all in cash. One of the, it's still a top. There's 13 fights in the card, 4 or 5 fight to target for GPPs, but it's not an all in. I think I've poked the holes in. I'm picking Pereira because I think, the whole cliche, every round starts in the feet. He is more dangerous. I think he eventually finds a knockout blow. I think it's close. I think it should be a dead pick'em, quite honestly. I liked what I saw from Prochazka last time out. So we'll see what happens in the run back here. And just based on those ownerships, I'm probably going to have more leverage on Prochazka than Pereira. And I'm picking Pereira. It's a weird DFS spot for that reason. What I think is a really interesting DFS spot is the co-main event. And this is, this is funny in that, Geek and I were chatting pre-podcast. I think this is the one spot we disagree on. There's a lot of stuff we agree on and some dogs that are coming. This is the one we're not on the same page. So it'll be a fun little conversation here. We got Brian T-City Ortega taking on Diego Lopez. Is it Lopez or Lopes? I always forget. I should have looked it up. Slacking
if it's Lopes, it's Amanda Nunes, and we haven't gotten to the bottom of this yet. So
yeah, I'm going to go with Lopez. Yeah, I you know what?
Us gringos, I have no clue. I'd like to know.
the DraftKings odds here, Diego Lopez is minus 142. Is the same exact line as Pereira Prohaska. Interesting. Ortega is the dog at plus 120. Fight ends inside the distance I wanted to pull up for this one. It is minus 180. And your DraftKings salaries for this one, Lopez is 8,400. Ortega is 78. Monk, let's give the statistical background here before Geek and I take opposing sides.
That's why you're a great host, because I was gonna say, if you guys are fighting about it, I got to start off. Historically, both gentlemen are really, really decent DraftKings players for the most part. I mean, Ortega has had a little bit more difficult of a run. Obviously, he's only 2-3 in his last 5. In his last win against Yair, he only scored 84. Against Korean Zabi, he put up 118. So we're obviously finding a balance, but it's still over triple digits, at least in his last couple. So I really like how these guys score. Actually, let me I guess Ortega really is a little bit less than I thought. I was looking at his last 5. It's 85 actually per win, which I get so I think I have a curse because I cursed Gastelum or cursed myself regarding Gastelum last week.
Here comes the 125 for Ortega, which I know is going to make Geek real happy. But
I do this. I'm like, this guy doesn't fucking score ever, because he doesn't score well ever. 80 some points a win like Nasrat or something, and then he comes out and drops 120. It's like, oh my God. So I know I expect that to happen every now and then, but my point to all that is, if it's going to happen here, I think Ortega is the one that could do it. Now, both of these guys' styles are very interesting because they kind of clash a little bit. Obviously, 2 grapplers. Lopes, I've been not trying to hate on him. I like the kid.
How dare you?
No. I was a big Mavzar guy. I still am. So the first fight was kind of like, whatever. But hate's the wrong word. I'm not drafting him enough as I should be. Like, he's scoring pretty well. 90 points, one with just a bonus. That was great. Then he's scoring 105. Now he's scoring 122. The competition's getting better and better. So is his score. So long story short, I love this fight for DraftKings. Lopes, I have to change my tune. His ceiling is possibly one of the highest in the division. I honestly don't know how high it can go. I'm wrong every time. Ortega is one of those veterans that everybody might think he's done, and then he comes through. So I love this for GPPs. I don't know how I'm going to get to it in cash because I honestly don't know who's going to win, but the salaries are great for GPPs. The scoring averages, recently are okay for Ortega, but especially for Lopes. And let me give a pick. I'm gonna pick Brian Ortega. I'm gonna pick Brian Ortega to get it done. The veteranship. I need to see if Lopes is ready. If he beats Ortega, I might go, all in on Lopes.
That's a valid argument. I'll give the Lopez side and let Geek finish up and break, I guess, the me and you tie, even though we build it the other way.
I think it's
the
so
Ortega
close.
Side. And I get the Ortega argument in terms of it is a big step for Diego Lopez. Totally get the argument. I can in my head, I think I know what Geek is going to say, but I'll let him lay it out for all the listeners, watchers. But in my mind, what kind of broke the tie is that I don't trust Brian Ortega's striking. And Diego Lopez made a mistake, has learned from his early UFC Contender Series fight. Remember, I think he's the one whose dad is like a teal belt in BJJ. Like, he's a world-class BJJ practitioner, and he got too comfortable off of his back. He made the classic mistake. He would find subs, couldn't really defend takedowns. I think he's rectified that issue. He can get up. He's still slick on the ground, and he's dangerous as all fuck striking. And that's the problem, is that if he keeps this up, he's going to hurt Ortega on the feet. And Ortega's gotten better, but the clips against Max and what Volk did, like, they're there for a reason. So that's kind of what I base my thought on is, okay, Ortega usually is so much better than everybody at BJJ. Get the fight down, that's what he does. I just don't think that's the case here. I don't think he's got that advantage. and I lean towards Lopez for the striking. And both these guys, when they get together, there's volume. It spells striking. It's a good fight to target. I'll have some shares of T-City and GPPs for sure, but for the reasons I laid out, I'll be on the Lopez side a little bit stronger. Geek, give us the Ortega breakdown.
Yeah, I actually I don't see it the same. I think Ortega, I see him better everywhere.
I think he's better striker. Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, everywhere. So first of all, Ortega, very underrated striker. He's landing way more volume than Lopez just in general over his career. He's standing in there with whatever opponent. Like most of the guys he's faced have been strikers, and he's hung in there with them in the striking. He hasn't been this big takedowns guy. What he's been is an opportunistic grappler, right? In the case of this fight, this is kind of I'm going to say it's a little bit unique. There's not really actually another example that I've been able to really find of Ortega going up against a grappler at his same level, where the other opponent won't be scared. But what I think will happen here is Lopez does not worry about going to his back. He's happy to do it. He thinks he can escape those positions. Takedown defense, 42%, tells you he allows himself to be taken down. He doesn't even care. He's not attempting to not get taken down. And I think that will be his downfall here. I think Ortega is just as good or better as a grappler. I think he will have that success. He will get the takedown. Lopez going to allow it, and then will be on his back trying to counter. It doesn't work. So let's just put it like this. Yeah, you could go to your back if you're Damian Maia and you're up against, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, something like that. You're going to reverse it. It's fine. Lopez is not good enough to, out-grapple Ortega when Ortega is in the dominant top position. And I think that's what we're going to see. And more so, it's just insulting that Ortega, who has fought for the championship and is in the discussion with the top 3 or 4 in the division, or has been, is the underdog. It actually just is disturbing. I bet it as soon as I saw it, because I'm like, why the fuck would Ortega be? Listen, Lopez is a kid. He's on the upswing. I agree. But people tend to favor the guy who's won his last 2 fights by first round finish. That's not going to keep happening. That creates an imbalanced perception of how good he is. And yeah, maybe he'll get another first round finish, but more often than not, what ends up happening, just like guys who get knocked out a lot and all of a sudden they don't, right? What's more likely to happen is Lopez is not quite as good as he looked in the last 2 fights. Fast finishes, worked out well. We'll see. Ortega is also not quite as old, I think, as people maybe think. He's 33. We're all thinking of Ortega as this grizzly veteran who's on the downswing, but actually 33 is pretty much prime for this weight class. So to me, I'm going with the veteran who has just as good, if not better, grappling, and I think superior striking, but more likely to get takedowns and be in dominant position at times in this fight. That's kind of how I see it.
All right. I think we have a pretty full breakdown here. What we have now is a fight that did not have a full fighting camp. So we got Anthony Lionheart Smith against Roman Dolidze. This fight was the last fight added on DraftKings, and we got some duplicate salaries again this week. Dolidze is 8,400. Smith is 7,800. The line on this fight, Dolidze is minus 148. Smith is plus 124. Fight ends inside the distance is minus 130. Background of this fight, Anthony Smith stepped in on short notice to take on Carlos Ulberg, who was supposed to fight Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill pulls out, Smith comes in, and then Ulberg pulls out, and Dolidze comes in. We got a pretty interesting matchup here. Smith, I think, gets a better fight for him. He shit in everybody's apple pie last time against Vitor Petrino.
Not mine.
I was going to say not ours, because while we picked Vitor, I think when me and Monk were talking, I think I gave that exact scenario. Is would you really be surprised if Vitor Petrino does something stupid and Smith guillotines him? Like, we laid it all out, and I had enough shares where we made some money. So regardless, he steps in here against Dolidze, and this is interesting in that, speaking to recency bias, I think we have some here in that people hate on Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith looks 42. He's only 35. One against Petrino, one against Ryan Spann. He beats kind of the frauds. That's who he beats, and he loses. Roundtree is not a fraud. Johnny Walker, that's not a good loss anymore. And Ankalaev, I'm not going to hold against him. Whereas Dolidze came in hot. He was a nice little streak, but he beat Phil Hawes, Kyle Dawkins, and the Jack Hermanson one is good. And remember, Hermanson was looking run down. Like I think was at his lowest point there. And it's kind of bounced back. Regardless, he gets the win. And then he's lost to Marvin Vettori and Imavov. Decent losses.
Those are good losses. Not
right. But so that's kind of my point. Those are good losses, but it doesn't really tell you exactly what level he's at. They're good losses. And Anthony Smith, I think, is the perfect opponent, right? Kind of in that sweet spot between these guys. And I actually don't trust Roman Dolidze here. I trust Anthony Smith a little bit more to hang around in the pocket, wear Dolidze out. I think Dolidze's aggression is going to work against him. I think Smith I think his fight IQ, aside from not taking a DQ against John Jones, and just being able to wear out Dolidze, it's where I think this goes. I'm not going to say this is one of my most confident picks on the card, but it is the first dog I'm going to pick. And mostly I think Dolidze got a little bit too hyped too fast, and I'm not all out on Anthony Smith yet. So I'm not there. I'm leaning towards Smith as a dog play. Not one of my favorite fights to target either side of, because it is for GPPs overall, I mean. So I obviously prefer Smith because of the dog pricing. Regardless, though, in that range, we got other fights to target. Like, they're not that much the same range as the main event, the co-main event we just talked about. We still have to talk about some grappling matchups. Like, it's not top of my list. It's a firmly kind of vanilla fight that I'll have a little bit of both sides and really kind of probably leverage ownership. And personally, I'm looking at going slightly over on Smith and slightly under on Dolidze. And I don't think they're going to be high owned regardless. Geek, what do you have for this fight?
Yeah, I'm going the other direction with it. I like Roman Dolidze here to get this win. I think Petrino and Smith did, kind of fraud check Petrino in his last fight, and that's what happened there. This fight is sort of set to go the distance, so not super duper exciting for DraftKings scoring purposes, but I'll just throw out some stats here. Smith, a lot of times when he's getting his win, it's with grappling, like opportunistic subs and that kind of thing. And Dolidze is pretty good at that. So I actually think it'll be Dolidze who will be doing the offensive grappling. Anthony Smith is super easy to take down throughout his career. That has not changed. 49% takedown defense is not good. And what I think is going to happen here is Dolidze is going to take down Anthony Smith, control him, ground and pound him, and you're going to see Anthony Smith looking old, looking beat up. The face don't look good anymore. The age is showing. Guy's fought, 150 fights in his career already. Looks like it was all grizzled and shit. Leather looking face. It's all the skin. Looks old. And I think that's what you're going to get. I think you're going to see Smith looking older and tired and not as durable. And Dolidze coming in and finishing him.
Monk, break the tie. The kids are fighting.
Yeah, this one's tough because, Anthony Smith's my Omaha guy. Roman Dolidze, one of my favorites, though. For some reason, I like.
You love the back hair, don't you? You love the back hair.
I mean, hey, we got to stick together, bro. We got to stick together. Yeah, I think I'm leaning Dolidze here. And you made an interesting point, Geek, about so I'm thinking of it. I like both your breakdowns. I'll try to give you I think Dolidze has the higher ceiling, to be honest. If he's able to get those takedowns on Smith, and
I don't disagree with that, by the way. I agree with that.
Yeah, and like you said, 49% for Smith. Dolidze has only landed, 9 of 22 takedown attempts, which isn't a ton. It's an okay percentage. And he's had, a handful of fights, several fights at this point. So it's not a ton, but I do kind of expect that a little bit. Now, if that's the case, Dolidze also lands almost half of a non-significant strike per minute. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if he's in a top position on the ground, those non-significant strikes really, really add up. Even over 3 rounds, we've seen fighters' scores balloon because of this. Dern, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Punahele Soriano most recently.
That was ridiculous.
In a ridiculous fashion. You're right. So Smith really scores only 2 points a minute. He's not super high volume. Even inside the distance when he's controlling stuff, he's only scoring 1.5 points per minute. So I don't really like Smith's scoring overall. I think Delize has the higher ceiling. I like his chances slightly more. I will be picking Delize. And yeah, I think you mentioned it right off the bat. Surprisingly, Delize is 11 days older than Anthony Smith, aka Leatherface, as we've coined him now. So yeah, I'm going Delize. Like I said, I like the ceiling. And but I agree with you, Sniper. Not one I'm super targeting, like really, really hard. So, and not one I'm probably playing in cash much either.
No, if anything, this is again similar. If you gun to my head, I'd Smith for the price, but I don't really want it for cash. So, and I don't just like I said, I'm picking Smith. I don't disagree. Delize's ceiling is higher in his path to victory. All right, let's move on to a fight. I'm wondering if I have a real contrarian opinion here. Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Macy Chiasson. Silva is, I was going to read the top. I've been going off the DraftKings odds. I got to stay consistent. Talk about line movement here. All right, so I'm definitely not on the contrarian side. All right, I'm going to start with this instead. All right, sorry. I'm calling a quick audible here because I think it's important to start with salaries. 8,800 for Mayra Bueno Silva, 7,400 for Macy Chiasson. You saw what the odds were. You see them on screen as of right now. Man, glad I got my bet in early this week because Chiasson is now favored at -115. It's been steamed that way. Bueno Silva is -105. Clearly, I made my bets, wrote my notes Sunday, Monday, and haven't really looked since because I did bet Macy Chiasson, so I'm not going to be contrarian. Chiasson is one of my favorite dogs on the card, as I think my headphones just died. So let me change my speakers. You guys still hear me, right?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. Cool. Look, Chiasson is huge. Bueno Silva is going to want to try and grapple her. I honestly think Macy is just going to push her up at the cage and fucking bully her. And as long as you don't get caught in a ninja choke, like Holly Holm did, if you're aware of that, I think Macy's just bigger, stronger, can bully her, probably the better striker. Don't get subbed. Don't get taken down and subbed or caught in some standing bullshit. And I think she is super live to win the fight. At a pick'em, I probably wouldn't bet it. I'm glad I got plus money a few days ago. Regardless if you agree with that breakdown or not, I think Chiasson is clearly the DFS side because I don't see many paths where Mayra pays off 8,800. And now you got, honestly, Macy, now that I'm looking at the odds, she's the cash game chalk. It's a blocker. It's a classic DFS blocker. Just play her. Everyone else is going to play her. Or just, if you're going to go another route, just know if Macy wins and she's -115, your cash game lineup is fucked. So she's probably just a blocker at this point.
In cash, it's just a free square, right? Like you don't care if she wins or loses. Your opponent's playing her, you're playing her. It's a free square in cash.
Yep.
I would argue that in tournaments, now that the holy odds flip, Batman, right? Like she was a heavy underdog, and now she's -115. I think it's a bit of an overreaction, if you're asking me. And I actually think by maybe the time this fight happens, she'll be like +115 again. So if you're waiting to bet on Macy, wait, just give it a second. I think it's going to float back the other way. But it feels like a trap for DFS a little bit. You know, this kind of card, everybody looking for that underdog, you know, that cheaper money. It's not like Macy Chiasson is a very good scorer. I mean, Monk, you'll expand on that, but like, she's not that great of a scorer. So, you know,
7,400, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter that much. I'm just saying there's a little bit of trap going on here, and maybe MBS is a little less like mediocre than we think and whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, I bet Macy earlier this week also when she was an underdog, and I just kind of looking at, you know, the takedown defense of Mayra Bueno Silva, not that great. It's okay. It's not that great, and just I figured Macy will mix in a takedown or two here and there and win a round and sort of squeak out a decision here. I'm not sure I expect a high scorer though. Monk, what do you think?
Well, I was just looking at first some defensive stats. Me and everybody else, it seems like, well, at least on Twitter that I've been seeing, is looking for that cheap money. Chiasson's going to be extremely high owned this week for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it could be for good reason, you know, like Mayra Bueno Silva, when she loses, and she gave a 145 to Pennington in a 5-round fight. But she's given up a high score before. She gave up 111 to Marina Moroz in that decision loss, and then she gave up almost 88 to Mananfioro. Obviously, is mostly a stand-up striker, so not a ton of points really going around there, but she's given up a lot of points. And if you'll allow me just 1 second, Macy actually does score well. Against Panny, 111, against Norma, 106, 108 against Young, 110, 110, 102. I mean, Macy's putting up pretty dang good scores when she wins, to be completely honest. So I know she did spend some time in the now defunct women's featherweight division, but her numbers are some of the best, like, on the card out of everybody. She scores over 4 points a minute while allowing only 2. So I'm kind of liking the Kiesan side, but like I said, be wary because there's going to be a ton of ownership on her. I will pick her to win. I feel like it's just let me and everybody else, you know what I mean? But I don't like a ton of dogs on this. I'll pick Kiesan to win. Silva just did not look good in her last fight against Raquel. So that mixed with the historical DFS scoring stats, give me Macy Kiesan.
I think what it comes down to, and I'll ask you guys this, like, is because Buena Silva has a bunch of submission wins. And the question is her grappling scary to the point where Macy is dangerous? Because the way you described it, Sniper, you're like, stay out of the submission. Is Buena Silva's grappling some scary thing that Macy isn't going to avoid the takedowns? Because every one of those fights, Monk, that you just mentioned that were a 110, 111, there was a lot of grappling points being scored in every single one of those. So when Macy has scored well, it's been when she uses her grappling heavily. 6 takedowns against Dumont. Even Panny, she took her down twice in the first minute, finished the fight in the first round, like by submission, no less. So when she scored well against Shayna Young as well, a bunch of takedowns in that one. So when she scored well, she's using heavy grappling. And the question is if she's going to avoid the grappling, because Buena Silva is this great submission grappler and hey, might as well keep it standing. That is not going to score well. But if she's using the grappling, it will score well. So that I think is the X factor on this fight.
And I don't think we're going to know until they start, because it's going to see if Macy's having success in the feet, she probably does stay away, or maybe she'll get in the clinch and she'll feel comfortable and stronger there. Like it's kind of variable. And I would but I don't need 102 at 7,400.
Yeah, upkick the liver is in play. You know,
I would also say if you want to go game theory for this, and this is maybe I'll pull a Monk and with Kelvin last week. Sorry to keep bringing it up, but if you want to get game theory, it's just don't play Kias and go under on Kias, and that doesn't mean load up on MBS, because in the MBS range we still got to, you got Jillian Robertson, Ricky Simone, Joe Pfeiffer, Boudet, who we have to talk about. Like that's the range around her. Like if she beats me, she fucking beats me, hands in the air. Oh well. So the game theory move, just because you do one thing doesn't mean you have to overcompensate and go high on the other. The game theory move here is just don't play either side. I don't know if I can do it personally. A lot of it's going to kind of
you're gonna play some, because like again 7,400 minus odds.
Good news is I do like 2 other dogs in that price range we're going to talk about later. So and one of them, I mean, I mentioned Ricky Simon. That whole fight, you just play the whole fight. It's the first fight of the night. So we will get there, though. I think that's enough of a breakdown for here. Can we just skip this next fight? I don't want to talk about this one.
No, what? This is a great fight. Excited to watch it. Well, I think this is one of the better fights on the card.
This is a good fight for a fight fan to watch and root for. This is DFS trash. I'll let Monk give the stats here, unless something crazy happens. It's Ian Machado. No, you know what? Fuck you. It's Ian Gary taking on Michael Venom Page. Line for this fight right now, Gary is minus 142 actually on DraftKings, plus 120 for Page. Fight goes to decision, minus 190. It is your mid-range price fight at 8,200 for Gary, 8,000 for MVP. Both these guys just want to strike. Neither have a ton of volume. Quite honestly, Ian Gary lost his last fucking fight, in my opinion. I thought Jeff Neal won that fight. Just like Patty Pimblett got protected, Ian Gary got some protection too. And yes, I'm salty because yes, I picked Neal, and yes, I would have won a GPP if Neal won that fight. So yes, a little bit of salt there. But honestly, I rewatched it again for this fight. I do think Neal won. I just do, but it was close. It wasn't, I can't say it was a quote unquote robbery. It was just a close fight. MVP got the new Bellator signing, tailor-made matchup last time out against Kevin Holland. Honestly, it's not a bad matchup for him here either. I don't think Gary's going to want to wrestle him. I'll go last for this one. It's kind of the setup to this one. Monk, I saw you. What is the scoring? These guys cannot score well.
Well, when Gary fights guys like Gabe Green, Song Kanan, and D-Rod, post his last fight, he's scoring pretty decently when he's landing like 8 strikes a minute. 6 strikes a minute against Neil Magny. He even landed 2 takedowns in that fight and still only scored not even 85 points. He scored not even 60 points in a win against the aforementioned Jeff Neal. And what does Michael Venom Page do? He doesn't throw a lot of strikes, but more importantly for this breakdown, he does not absorb any strikes. He's always getting out of the way. So I'm not interested much in Michael Page. I got to learn from my mistakes, and I can't say, I'm not interested in Michael Page at all. Just not much. I really don't expect, a lot of, great DFS things. I just gave Ian Gary shit for scoring not even 60 points. Well, Venom Page scored 50 points exactly against Kevin Holland in his win. Absolutely pathetic. So not really interested there. If I'm interested in anyone, it's the Gary side, but even still, the most probable path to victory is these guys just throw like 2.5 strikes a minute for 15 minutes and the winner scores 50 to 60, 70 points. I'm not too interested. I'll probably be a little higher on Gary than Page, but this will be a very low owned fight for me as a whole.
Yeah.
My pick. Yeah, I'm gonna. God, it's hard to pick Page, right? If this is going to decision, I'll pick Ian Gary. I don't like it. I'll pick Ian Gary.
I'm with you. The quick, I can go quick before tossing it to Geek if he's got more. Is totally agree. Gary's got more ceiling because if anybody is going to grapple, it will be him if he chooses to go there. Also, I think a little more volume and at his age, a little more knockout potential. Don't love it, but make me pick. I do think Gary's the preferred side for this fight. Anything different, Geek?
Just to mention that, Page can be taken down, and if Gary does choose to do some of that, he has the ability to get takedowns. He's gotten takedowns in the past. So I'm not fading. I think this is Gary by decision. He wins this fight, and I think he's a decent play on DraftKings at 8K or 8,200. What is he? He's 8,200. Yeah, I think he's a decent play on DraftKings at 8,200. Fine with it. I don't have much interest in Michael Page at all. I'm probably mostly fading it, mostly again because Kelvin burned me. Some girl named Gonzalez burned me a couple weeks ago, and I'm sick of it. Little fades, but yes, I think Gary wins this fight.
I'm with you. I got a notification on my phone. Did you guys? So we'll take a quick intermission to talk other fights. The Namajunas Macy Barber fight is off. Macy Barber's pulled out. The rumor is we're going to get Namajunas and Tracy Cortez in a main event in 3 weeks.
That's not a main event, is it?
That is a fight night main event they're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Not confirmed by one guy
God.
I trust when I see it is Marcel. It was not Marcel or Nolan King, so not confirmed. But that's what's being floated around right now. And I don't know. I feel like I honestly
thought you were going to say
clearly rolled my eyes when I looked at my phone, like aggressively rolled my eyes, and I had to explain it.
The face you were making, I thought you were going to say we're going to get a rematch between Rose Namajunas and Paige Van Zandt.
Pure fight night.
No, she's on. Did she win? Did she slap the chick?
No, she lost in the slaps also. Like,
did she get knocked out?
I don't know if that happened yet. All I know is I
gotta know if she got knocked out.
All right, while you guys break down, I'm gonna do the next fight. We'll come back to Paige Van Zandt and slap fighting because who doesn't want to slap Paige Van Zandt's ass? I mean, what? Let's move on to Joe Pyfer, body bag. This is the worst nickname in the U.S. Like, you don't like Pleasure Man? This is fucking awful.
Yeah.
This is real bad. Joe Body Bag spelled with a Z.
With the Pyfer. Z.
Plural.
By the way, I was around UFC Atlantic City, and he was one of the visiting fighters there, and just people were he's not popular in the MMA community.
I wonder why.
In the podcast, he is not fan friendly. I'm gonna go there. I'll leave it there for now. But Body Bags Pyfer taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Line on this fight right now, you got Pfeiffer is at -305. The comeback on Barrio is +245. DraftKings salary, we've got an elevated salary here for what I feel like is the first time on the podcast. It is 9,000 for Joe Pfeiffer. 7,200 is Marc-Andre Barrio. And I did want to mention the fight does not go to decision prop is at -155, which I actually thought was going to be a little bit higher on this one. That being said, Geek, what do you got for this fight?
Man, I really want Marc-Andre Barrio to win this fight. Rooting for him. I kind of think that Pfeiffer is a fraud. So
his wins are what? Gerald Meerschaert's a good win, but yeah, that was the like one strike, right?
Niche win against a niche opponent. I haven't seen anything out of Pfeiffer. I think he's just a little bit of hype. You know,
he got fraud checked last time out.
Hard. What's that?
He got fraud checked hard last time.
I think Hermanson is good. I don't think that's even a fraud check. I think Hermanson's actually very good.
Yeah.
So, you know, who else has he really beaten? Alen Amendovsky, who lost every fight. You know, these guys were terrible getting here. Meerschaert is a sort of niche guy. And so what do we really have? It seems like Pfeiffer has some acceptable but not great grappling. Barriot's a wily veteran. He loses a lot. But he does throw volume when he's in there. He's been durable for the most part up until that, you know, for the most part, he's been a durable guy. So, and he definitely throws more volume than what Pfeiffer throws. I really think this fight will come down to if Pfeiffer's not knocking him out, can he take down Barrio and control him long enough to win rounds? And maybe it's possible. But I do think on the feet, that Barrio will be throwing more volume at him. Barrio is not somebody that I'm super impressed by any stretch of the imagination. He's really just a kind of a one of these, like, are you ready for the UFC? If you can beat this guy, you probably are. And so we're going to find out. But I don't like Pfeiffer. I don't like paying up for him here. That's more my opinion. Like, I just don't really, I don't really see where the 9K price point is going to be paid off with Pfeiffer. I don't know what you think there, Monk, but I'm leaning the underdog here. I do think Pfeiffer probably wins the fight, but I think that Barrio is a better play on DraftKings. If he wins, he's probably scoring decent enough for his price that we'll be happy to have him. Whereas I think Pfeiffer, yeah, it could be at a Kelvin situation where, like, I can't full fade it because I've gotten burned by like the 9K guy the last 2 weeks. So I'm not doing that again, but I will probably be below the field if Pfeiffer is going to be high owned. And the decision prop being as high as it is also tells me this isn't necessarily destined to be a high scorer unless Pfeiffer uses more grappling than he normally does.
That's the thing. I think he's going to. And unfortunately, the 9K range, I think Pfeiffer is actually my second favorite 9K guy.
What?
9K isn't studded this week.
Well, this is a pretty sexy $9,300 guy.
Yeah, he's number one.
Yeah,
he's my core play.
Well, there's only 3 in the 9s, right? Wait, and Boudet. Oh, no,
one's Martin Boudet.
Oh no, is that actually you have to account for Boudet? You're gonna have to you could knock out old man.
I still his second favorite, and what he's got here, the MAB is a guy who he can wrestle, and MAB is going to stand in front of him and trade. He's got a couple paths to victory here. He should grapple. If he doesn't, they'll stand and trade. And that's the fight MAB is live in. Don't get me twisted. I'm going to play MAB as well. I'm going to lean on the Pfeiffer side because MAB is not as technical as Hermanson. Pfeiffer can get in a brawl or he could grapple. I think he's got some more pass here. This is a target both sides, but I'll be higher on Pfeiffer than it sounds like Geek will. So, Monk, the kids are fighting again. What do you got, Dad?
I love this. Man. I want also Marc-Andre Barrio to win. Look, he's decent in his past 5 at least. I think it was Geek that said he was pretty durable, and he's not wrong. He's only been finished twice in his career. Yes, that is 2 out of his 6 UFC losses. But one was to Fluffy Hernandez, a specialist who's just absolutely fantastic. And if you take out that Fluffy fight in his past 5, you're left with 5 strikes a minute against Jordan Wright, almost 12 against Marquez over 9 minutes, 6.3 against Eric Anders over 15 minutes, and 8 strikes a minute against Chris Curtis at over 15 minutes as well. So we are seeing a pattern of, sustained durability or
Chris Curtis is a
sustained.
bit. Sorry,
Yeah, that was needed. Sustained strikes per minute here at a high volume from MAB, and he's scoring okay. 120 when he beat Marquez. 101. These guys are lower level, but Pfeiffer hasn't really proved much either.
I think Pfeiffer is lower level like that. I think he's one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I was one of the only. I gave myself shit about Gastelum and some other fighters. I'll toot my own horn about Jack Hermanson. I was one of the only people. I don't mean on this show, but out of whoever that I saw that was on Hermanson. And what did we see?
I was on Pfeiffer. I had that one wrong.
And what did we see? Pfeiffer was unable to get much going. He couldn't land takedowns if he's going for him, and then Hermanson's cardio just took over, and he just paced him for 17 minutes.
People sleep on Hermanson, by the way. Hermanson's good.
I really like that guy.
Yeah.
He's just people don't like his style because it's a lot of time it goes to decisions, and people just want to see finishes, which I get. Long story short, guys, I don't trust Joe Pfeiffer. 9K. He only scored 97 against Abdul. He only scored 96 against Mearshart. I don't know, man. It seems risky. I'll probably be close to average, and I might even be a little bit over on Barrio. Like, screw it. I didn't think I was going to pick Barrio to win coming in here. I'll pick Barrio to win straight up, and I like him at 7,200.
Balls, I like it. I got another spot I like more, but I get the logic. I think I'm on the other side, but I get it. This is a dog I like. This is one that I will be on, and it's Cub. Is it really Killer Cub Swanson? And these nicknames are very 1990s. Killer Cub Swanson and Andre Touchy-Feely. And the first thing I thought when I saw this match is this has to be a rematch, right? Like, how the fuck have these two never fought before? I was going through this stuff like, are they real? Okay, where's their first fight? Oh shit, it's not here. You got to be kidding me. I was convinced. Andre Feely's a minus 245 favorite now. It's ballooned up to.
How?
Cub Swanson's back at plus 200. I don't understand.
It's moving even more for Philly?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, how do these guys have 40-some UFC fights and they've never fought each other?
Yeah, I don't. Are people expecting that Andre? Are we just trusting Andre Feely to grapple?
This is like
I don't think
somebody knows something.
Yeah, it's almost starting to feel that way. To me, this fight, the way I break down. I've talked about this before, but I watched. I try not to look at any lines. Get the fight. Don't see the line. Break it down. What do I think the line should be? And then go. And then maybe that's how most people do it. But it works here. And then I'm like, what am I going to do for this fight? Is it going to be close? 50-50? Man, I don't know who to pick. And then I cave and I look at the line and I see the Cubs like 2-1. I go, oh, well, that's the fucking value. I don't care how this fight breaks down. So I will say if this was pick'em, I don't know what side I would have landed on. So I bitched out in terms of my pick there. Look, Feely's potential wrestling keeps him from being a fade, even at 8,600. If I think the fight should be a pick'em, because if he wins, he's going to score all right. He just is, because he probably has grappled Cub Swanson. But on the feet, these guys are going to throw down. They're both good on the feet. They can both bang. They both have actually held up decently well for their age in terms of toughness. I know Cub's over 40 now, which is old as fuck at featherweight. That's old. That is a concern. I just think this fight should be 50-50. So give me Cub Swanson. I'll play both sides. I like if we didn't have the free square and Macy, Cub would be where I'm looking for in cash games, because the last number that I didn't give out, if I can find my mouse again, is this fight. It's got to be pretty decent to go to decision.
I was just going to ask, what's the ITD here?
Oh shit! Fight ends into the distance is minus 135.
Yeah.
It's low.
I thought we were gonna get plus money. It goes to decision, and I might take plus 105 now. So regardless, I'm on the Cubs side because I think this should be 50-50. So Monk, start us off with this one.
Look, this one screams GPP. First of all, it screams entertainment, really. So if you're watching this card, this is a great fight to not miss. Like, try, if you've lost your bets or lost a couple, try to get that stuff away and just enjoy this one. I think that's kind of how I see it. It's going to be a banger. I like your breakdown a lot. Andre Feely simply cannot be trusted. I mean, he's winning 110 points against Lucas Almeida after a 3-minute knockout. Then he scores like 68 in a split against Algio. He's getting smashed in less than a minute by Joe Anderson. I just don't know, what to do with this guy for the most part. Cub Swanson, I mean, we've got 4 KO, TKO finishes, wins and losses out of his last 5 fights. I'm not surprised this is at 135, minus 135. In fact, I kind of would have expected it closer to like minus 150 ITD, to be quite honest. This is the only reason I'm looking. I would be playing this one in GPP strictly. Obviously, to me, not a cash fight. But GPP strictly just because there's so many question marks. Feely can't be trusted. Like you said, Cub is well over 40 years old, and a ton of KO, TKO finishes from these guys, wins and losses. That just says their chins aren't great. They're getting, knocked. They're knocking their opponent. You have no idea what's going to happen. Screams GPP. I am with you. I'm going to. I said I wasn't going to pick a lot of dogs. I think I've picked more than I thought so far. We're not like halfway through. I'm going to pick Cub Swanson outright. I think you're right. This should be closer to a pick 'em. And at 7,400, I think it's worth a shot. GPPs, probably only unless you really got a solid 5-man cash lineup and you have 7,400 left, and maybe think about it. But just GPP fight here for me.
It's worth noting, by the way, Cub's last 4 years, 2020, his only losses are legit losses. I had him up on screen.
Martinez
and Giga. Like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
This would be a legit loss too. So listen, I'm going to separate betting from DFS for a second.
Yep.
Because on the betting side, I think Cub is a very comfortable bet. It is a closer fight than this seems, unless somebody knows something out there, which the line movement implies that maybe they do. That doesn't mean I'm laying minus 145 on Philly, but something's up, because that line is just money and money and money pouring in on Andre Philly. And it shouldn't be. All of us who kind of know fights are looking at this one going, these guys are kind of similar, like disappointment machines. Philly never fulfilled like the potential that he had. Cub a little bit over the hill, but USADA's gone, so who cares? There's some potential for this to be a retirement fight for Cub Swanson. Take the gloves off, throw him in the ring, finish it up. Good career. Everybody respect it.
Especially with a win, Robbie Lawler style.
Yeah.
When this shit happens, we said it last time, and I can't remember the fight. Me and Monk were talking about it. At the fight, I'm like, this smells like fight cancellation. And now I'm like, the more you talk, Geek, the more I'm like, this fight's getting.
Did you say minus 245 or 145?
245. Cub is plus 200.
So what I was going to say is, in the separation, listen, you've got Cub Swanson, 60% career takedown defense, not that good. If Philly does go for a couple takedowns per 15, he's averaging over 2. And he's now only 8,600, and he's minus 245. So as I'm believing the sportsbook odds, I am much more inclined to play a lot more Philly at 8,600 to get an acceptable scoring decision win, where he gets a couple takedowns along the way and maybe lands enough volume, or maybe even finds the chin of the older fighter. So again, I think the bet, if I'm betting like a Swanson here, because, wow, I'm getting plus 200, plus 220, whatever the number is right now is really, really good for somebody who has a great shot of winning a split decision, right? Like, it's close. I wouldn't even mind the plus 3.5. But as far as DFS go, I do think Philly's probably going to win this fight, more so because I would have said it's closer to 50-50, but this line movement tells me there may be somebody out there who knows about an injury. You know how these things happen. And then you find out after the fight, something was up. It's just too straight of a chart. It's too against the grain of what all three of us at least think it should be, which is too eyebrow raising for me to ignore. So for that reason, I'm going to switch where I originally thought, which was my pick was Cub to win. I'm switching to Philly to win. I think this movement, and certainly if he goes for a takedown, he can get it. I thought it was a close fight, but the line is too wide to not play Philly at minus 250 on DraftKings. It's too good. It's too good.
All right, you better not change your mind in this fight, or me and you're going to have
I'm not changing shit. No, I love this fight.
This one, I think we're both in agreement on. And another dog we like, but we'll get to it. Charles Air Jordan taking on Lord Assassin Jean Silva. Current line on this fight, because as you can see from Tapology, lines have been moving this week. This one's about the same though. Plus minus 128 for Jordan, plus 100 for Jean Silva. fight goes to decision is minus 125. Your DraftKings salaries here is you have Jordan at 8,300, Silva at 7,900. Geek, take it away.
Yeah, one of the things that I know, so some guys lose a lot, and Charles Jourdain loses a lot. I'm sorry, nice fight or whatever. He loses a lot.
He's fun though.
And fighters that lose a lot continue to lose. Like, it is just a thing. Hey, it's not that big of a deal for me. Other guys will fight their teeth off never to lose. This guy loses a lot. But when it comes down to the numbers, these guys are really, really similar. Both landing good volume, 5.5 strikes per minute or more. Similar accuracy, similar striking defense. There's a lot of similarities between these two guys on the feet statistically. Where I think it goes bad for Jourdain is the guy can't stop a takedown. He's got 50% career takedown defense, and Jean Silva goes for takedowns. He has grappling. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's averaging almost more than 1.5 takedowns per 15, and I think that's how he wins this fight. I think it looks close on the feet, and as soon as Jean Silva is feeling a little pressure, boom, takedown, win the round. So for me, it's a little weird that Silva was the underdog. I bet that. I think it was a plus 120 or 115 when I got it. It's still around that right now. So go out and grab this bet. But I like Silva. I like Silva to win. And I think he'd score fine. There's plenty of volume to go around here and takedowns in the mix. So give me Jean Silva as a solid DraftKings play and to win this fight and a solid bet.
Pretty much agree with everything you said. The takedowns keep him alive. I'm right with you. Not much on Jourdain. For the first time, Monk, the kids are not fighting. Do we have a quick fight, or do you have to talk us into Air Jourdain here?
No, I agree with you, man. Jourdain, like Feely for me, can't be trusted. You said Geek, you said if you lose, you keep losing or something to that effect. I know I'm paraphrasing.
Get comfortable losing.
6-6-1 in the UFC. That's for some reason that's kind of surprising to me. But yeah, he's 2-3 in his last 5, only beating Ricardo Ramos and Crone Gracie. So
good wins, by the way. I'm not going to shit on those 2 wins. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll kind of shit on the Crone one. That didn't, whatever. But yeah, I agree. I like Ricardo Ramos. Silva, man. Oh, he's only beaten Weston Wilson in the UFC. 1 takedown landed, but he did what he was supposed to do. And hey, Weston Wilson, the next big thing at featherweight. So that could be that win is aging tremendous.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he has not had. We can all admit that this
got
man
a little
has not had a
hyperbolic
notable
there.
win.
We can all admit that Sniper and Monk were all over Yeka Saragi being the 9K guy to shit his pants. We were all like, "This is right. If anybody's gonna do it, it's this guy." And then
was that? I'm pretty sure that was a Vince kill shot on Weston Wilson.
We were all like, "Listen, this is the fraud alert."
Yeah, for sure. He lost
to
a guy.
That was the kill shot of the year. That was an elite kill. That was reminiscent of the 2023 Denise Gomez kill shot. That's how powerful the Weston Wilson kill shot was a couple weeks ago.
The kill shot heard round the world, they say. I don't have anything else. I like John Silva here. Jourdain can't be trusted. Probably strictly a GPP fight for me. For sure. And it's another underdog. I don't know what's happening. I looked at this card before we started. I'm like, I'm picking 2 underdogs, and I think I've picked 4.
Wait, you're picking all the underdogs.
I know what dog you're about to pick. You ready?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Here we go. This is it. We go from the kill shot heard around the world to the price tag heard around the world.
Yeah, good.
Peyton Talbot is minus 1,600. Let's see what it actually is right now.
I heard closer to 2K.
At some places. So FanDuel, it's minus 2,200. DraftKings right now, it is minus 1,600. The comeback on Yanis Gamori is anywhere from plus 900. You get plus 950 some places. More importantly, on DraftKings, you are paying $9,800 for Peyton Talbot.
That is some jump. DraftKings doesn't normally do that. They don't normally gap 93 to 98.
$500. Yeah, like what?
Yanis Gamori is 6,400. Look, I was against Cameron Simon. I was like, show me what you got to show me. This is the fight to show me, and he did. And now he's at 9,800. I'm like, well, I can't pay that to shit. So honestly, my quick breakdown is: does he win? yeah, I don't think I can pay him in cash games because that's gonna, unless the rest of my lineup I can cobble something together that looks okay. But when I first looked, it just nukes everything good you want to do. Like I'm gonna be underweight, and if it fucks me, it fucks me because there are worlds at this salary, plenty of worlds where he scores a first round like quick win bonus at 130 and doesn't make the optimal. Unlikely, but does it really surprise you at not?
It's gonna let me put it like this. I'll make an absolutist statement. If he doesn't get the win, the 60-second bonus, it is wildly unlikely that
with
he
the
will
knockout
be in the nuts lineup.
Exactly.
With the knockout.
It has to finish with a knockdown. That's right. With a knockdown in 60 seconds. If he does it, he probably, even at 9,800, that 30 extra points, probably enough to force you to play an extra turn.
But I guess I should have started there. But the keyword there is probably. It's not a lock. Anybody else in the card, it's a lock.
What everybody else
win bonus.
Yeah,
he probably does. But there are worlds. It's this. I guess I was trying to illustrate. This is so cost prohibitive that if he beats me, he beats me. He probably wins. This price is crazy, and I'm not going to go any further than that. You got anything to add to this one, Geek? Like,
no. What are we going to talk about? Fucking
Johnny
Moritz and the ass whooping he's going to take? Like, no. Peyton Talbot. I just want to ask you: is this that kid? Is he that fruity guy? Like, what is the story? People don't like Talbot or there's something with Talbot that I can't remember. What is his deal?
Really? No, he's the one. He's got the crazy ass tattoos on him. They're like straight lines down, like the Damon Jackson, like.
People gave him shit for his like pole dancing shit that he posts.
I didn't.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I saw something. There was an odd thing about
people
him.
People get mad at like just people having fun with doing what they do. It's weird.
Okay, is that what's going on? Like I remembered there was something about him that like people were making fun of or ripping on, but I couldn't remember what. Like I thought it was painted fingernails, to be honest. But like Caleb, something like that. Is
like
he
Jordan Levitt
fingernails? Like, is that what's going on?
Yeah,
that's a thing now. I'm watching like Too Hot to Handle.
Or even had his nails painted
on Netflix. And two of the guys have like this rocker look. They're all tatted up and they got their fingernails painted.
Oh, it's a whole thing. I watch some of those reality shows with the wife too, and I'm like, I can't not see it. I'm not a 6'1" burly, 70s man, but this shit's ridiculous.
It's got a whole Dennis Rodman vibe, like the modern Dennis
everything
Rodman
comes
vibe.
Back.
Like you have girls. My girl's a little bit younger. Yours are probably almost dating age. Like
they're not going to bring home a rocker with some painted fingernails.
I don't think mine's going to either. But if she did, I would be like, "What in the fuck are we doing?"
I would just start making fun of the dude. I'd be like, "Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?" And that's how I would react. I'd be like, "If this is what you're showing up like that."
See, but if you do that,
then he tweets that out to his fucking 20 million followers, and you get fired and canceled.
Thank goodness it doesn't matter. No one can fire me.
That's
as
true.
My wife would say, though, if you say that shit, you just encourage her. You drive them closer.
Yeah.
So, if I really wanted to be a dick and lean into it, I paint my desk. But hey, look, your boyfriend did it. This is cool, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
There you go.
Each their own, but I did remember there was something oddball about Peyton Talbot. He's putting out pole dancing videos. Is that what his deal is?
I think so. Yeah.
That's a little weird.
That's for you. That's for you. It's just
sure.
It's just not. It's just not for me. I don't.
That's not for me.
I don't get it.
Yeah. You know what? Have fun. Do what you want to do.
Exactly. You're not hurting anybody. I really don't care. I can say I don't understand it. I also don't give a shit.
Do what you want to do, but I ain't paying $9,800 for you on DraftKings.
That's what this fight all came down.
I don't have
none of that changes the fact that he needs to finish the fight within 60 seconds. And the under, just understand the prop for that. The under 1.5 is -135, meaning that he's expected to go at least a round and a half. This isn't, Bo Nickel, who, usually gets a under half a round prop. Like, you have to get down to business real quick. How bad is Giannis? Like, is he so bad that, he's 12-2. He's not that bad.
I'm moving on here because you know what I do understand and is for me. The karate hottie, Michelle Watterson. I don't want to say Gomez because it makes me sad. Michelle Watterson taking on Jillian the Savage Robertson. Look, and I've been a Jillian mark I've made a lot of money on Jillian. She's cost me a couple times, but overall, people tend to doubt her, and I've cleaned up pretty well. And now these two go at it here Saturday night. Your lines right now. Robertson is minus 185. Let me see. The line isn't even on the tap. Oh, there it is. So come down a little bit. The Watterson side is plus 154. Your fight goes to decision prop is minus 140. But honestly, I don't really think it actually matters for this fight because if Robertson wins, she doesn't need a finish because she's going to grapple fuck Michelle Watterson. I really probably shouldn't say that. I'll have to pull a pillow out. You watch Love Island. You know what the pillows are for.
The fact that you knew it was Love Island, by the way, I was pretending I did. I
told you I watched those shows with my wife. She likes them. I can't say I totally hate them.
Dom,
I watch.
How come Dom is on all of the shows? That's that same guy. He shows up on all of them.
We should have a middle-aged man podcast talking about that shit and our wild opinions on those shows.
Yeah, we put it in a different channel.
Yeah. And if Watterson wins, going back to DFS, what we're here to do. She's cheap. I don't need a ton. The problem is Watterson's lost 4 in a row. She can't really stop takedowns. I think Robertson's going to get her down, smash her up, score pretty well, make me really sad. This kind of feels like, honestly, I think Watterson's going to retire. Like, big fan, love watching her fight. Don't think it's a good matchup. I'm all about Jillian Robertson. I think she's unfortunately, because I'm a fan of hers, as I said in the beginning, not going to be a champion, but I think it's going to be a solid gatekeeper. That's who she is in this division. And I just don't think Watterson is there anymore. So give me Robertson. And I think there's sneaky upside on this fight. And I say sneaky because if that minus 140 to go to decision, people may ignore it. I will not be. Monk, I know I ignored you in the last fight, so you can start here.
No, and for good reason. Look, man, Watterson Gomez, let's see, in her pro career has been submitted 4 times. And her last one was by Amanda Lemos, which was probably maybe a little surprising, maybe not. I guess she's kind of a 50-50-ish. So yeah, I just can't back it, man. Even at 7,500, look, like you said, she's dropped 4 in a row, and she's not even scoring like quote unquote well in losses. We're at 2 points a minute, 2.2. 2.9 and less than 2 against Marina Rodriguez. Not the last one, but the first Marina Rodriguez fight, because we got the all-important sequel after that. I like Jillian. I think she's probably going to win. I agree with you completely. Probably a solid gatekeeper. And actually, she does score decently well when she wins. Her strength of schedule is slightly below the UFC average. Now, I have not delineated that between men and women. I will be doing that in the future, but just slightly below average. I mean, she put up 105 against Viana, 105 against Rodriguez, and 95 against Agapova. I think her average overall for UFC wins is 102. 50% of them are in the triple digits. So that's a pretty damn good set of numbers for a strawweight fight, in my opinion. So she's also scoring over 3 points a minute. I like you said, I think she's going to have the grappling advantage. Hopefully we get some non-significant strikes. We really haven't seen a lot from that. From her in that regard, but she did put up 5 strikes a minute in the loss to Tabitha Ricci, so she can do something. But obviously, she's going for subs again. Gomez subbed 4 times in her career, so give me Robertson 8,700. I probably don't mind that, and I think I'm kind of with you, Sniper. I want to see a finish here.
Yeah, that would be nice. Geek, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know why you said that Watterson's getting taken down all the time. That's not been the case, but she can be taken down.
She can be. That's what I meant. She's
got 70% takedown defense. That is my big concern about this fight. If I thought Watterson was easy to take down, I would be loading up on this one, and B, I think I would borderline be all in. I'd be betting it. Like,
but I guess my point. I guess what I should have said is Marina Rodriguez took her down. Giant red flag for me.
Yeah.
She did get one. She did get one against her. Listen, it's going to come down to Jillian getting the takedown. She's just not that good on her feet. I think even mom zone, Michelle Watterson Gomez, and she is in the mom zone. That's what I think is going on. Like, she's kind of moving on from what she's doing. Kids, husband, all kinds of other things happening in life where you can't really sacrifice those things for your career. And, she's coming to the end of it. What are you going to do? Jillian, who seems like she's been around forever, is still only 29, is still improving from fight to fight. The striking has improved over the years. I think she can probably hang in there. Even against Watterson, I think she'll hang in there on the feet. but it'd be a split decision situation. Like it's going to be close. I don't know who's winning. The only way we know for sure Robertson is winning is if she's getting takedowns. I think she'll probably get him. And I think if she gets even just one, she might be able to get a sub out of it. But even if she doesn't, she's probably holding down Watterson the whole round. So to me, what I love about Gillian Robertson is she's so sticky. When she's on you, she's on you. It's very hard to get her off. She can jump on your back, even standing. So she's got a lot of ways.
I can't touch the sticky comment.
She's sticky, man. She's sticky.
Why is she sticky?
She sticks on you like glue, baby. She's on you.
Oh, good. Glue. Okay, good. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm breaking down a fight, dude. I don't know where your mind is.
I'm still back on Love Island and pillows.
Yeah, no, I don't know where your mind is going. I'm breaking down a fight. I mean, she's on your back. And
I'm busy thinking about Martin Boudet. Shit. No.
Martin Boudet is sticky too, but just from being fat and sweaty.
That's a great transition.
That was so
There
good.
Hey, look, it's Andre Arlovsky
you're the
and Martin
boss.
Boudet is our next fight. Look at that, guys. Boudet is minus 245. The comeback on Arlovsky's plus 200. Yeah, they are heavyweights, but the fight goes to decision is minus 145 because Andre Arlovsky is fighting. Although he's starting to, his chin's getting more and more questionable. We've been saying it for years. It's going to come a day. I think it's starting to happen. Geek, you go first for this fight.
Yeah, listen, this is a really tough one. I love Andre Arlovsky. He was a fighter I was watching. I feel like when I started watching the UFC, so like it's been a bit here. It's been a while for his career. He just doesn't. The problem with Arlovsky is he doesn't do anything that's going to score. Boudet has never been taken down in the UFC. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're basically talking about probably a striking battle because Boudet has really not done a lot of going for takedowns either. So we're just going to get a striking battle here. And I would just expect that Boudet will have more volume and maybe knock out Arlovsky along the way. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think Arlovsky is slick enough to pull this one off at age 45 with questionable, remaining durability. So I think Boudet might be that sneaky guy that you have to pay up for that gets a knockout at some point that no one was expecting, Kelvin Gastelum style. But at the very minimum, yeah, Arlovsky, good striking, deep, whatever. He's just old. At 45, what are you going to do?
Yep.
It's old as shit, man. That's,
I'm with you. I'll have a little bit of Boudet for the reasons you mentioned. Basically, no Arlovsky. I think Boudet wins. Yeah. Monk, you got anything different? What do the stats say? How much Andre Arlovsky we playing?
Well, not a lot, Snaber. Not a lot.
No, weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Martin Boudet, but honestly, I favor the bookies that this goes to decision. So I'm not really looking to play a bunch of this. Hopefully that does not bite me in the ass. Look, Martin Boudet, while having 6 KO TKOs in his pro career, has 0 in the UFC so far, and he's fought some real we'll be nice, lower level competition. His strength schedule is trash. Chris Barnett, Lucas Bresky, Jake Collier, Josh Parisian, Shamil Gaziev as well got KO'd by that guy.
Is it noteworthy that this is his best opponent by far?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I think this one's going to decision. I think Boudet's going to win. I don't think. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be kind of surprised if he got his first UFC knockout, to be honest. So give me Boudet by decision. What does he score in decisions? You're asking me. Good question. 81, 56, 91. So not great for what you have to pay, which I believe is 9,100. He barely would have 10x that in the Chris Barnett fight. He was 9K in that one. So, and that was a finish. I believe it was a technical, actually it was not a finish. It was a technical decision or whatever they call it. Give me Boudet. I've gone on too long about this. Not interested in Arlovsky.
Good, because I said earlier that the first 2 fights of the night are going to determine a lot. So the first fight of the night, so this is the second fight of the night, and it's got a core play. And the first fight of the night has got one to load up both sides of. So this is don't go anywhere. We got to talk about Carlos Hernandez and Ray Tesoria. Damn Japanese name, I can't say it. That guy, the guy who's going to put up a shit ton of points wrestling. He is minus 470 on DK right now, plus 360 is the comeback on Hernandez. Look, Hernandez can't stop takedowns. Ray Tesoria is going to want to shoot takedowns. It smells like a metric fuck ton of takedowns. They're 125ers. Honestly, you got 125ers with a minus 215 and inside the distance prop, and the guy who's heavily favored wants to grapple. And he's only 9.3K. Kind of a discount, especially considering Peyton Talbert's up there. Ray is my core play of the slate. I'll tell you right now, he's definitely in my cash lineup. And if I'm under 55%, something's gone totally awry in my lineups. So that's the level of exposure I'm looking at. Monk, do you have a lot of stats on our boy Taira, who is relatively new to the UFC?
Well, it's funny you say it because more than most debutants, I actually have 3 road to the UFC fights that we can put in here. And he's scored pretty decently. I mean, 106, if you're putting points on these fights, obviously. 106 against, we'll call him Jin, 90 against Mark Climax, and 107 against Ronald Sean. So, I like the kid's potential. He's landed, 12 takedowns in those 3 fights. One of them had 1, one of them had 8. So you do have to take that into account. But as you said, Carlos Hernandez loves to get taken down. Surprisingly, didn't get taken down by Tatsuro Taira, which is kind of interesting, but was taken down by Altamirano Nascimento and even the I don't even know what adjective to use, Dennis Bondar.
That was because he got knocked the fuck out though. That's why he didn't get taken down. He was unconscious, and Taira went, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, so give me Saruya. The only issue here is obviously we have a huge price gap, like you mentioned. This dude is going to be so extremely high owned. I don't know how we're going to get leverage on him, to be quite honest. He's going to be extremely, I can't imagine. I mean, are we talking 60, 50% here? Are we talking that high? So yeah, I think this is a great cash play. Again, your opponent's likely going to have him as well. So you're just going to have to look for the other spots. But yeah, I obviously like Ray here. I'm going to pick him. Possible good value. 4.33 DraftKings points per minute so far in those 3 road to the UFC fights.
I have not much to add. Ray is a great play. He's the payoff that you want. Understand the reason almost 7 takedowns on average per 15 in those fights on road to the UFC. Obviously, he's fighting low-level guys, and I don't think he'll have as much success against Carlos Hernandez here. Like, I'm not expecting 7 takedowns per se. But because those other guys were really low level, and Hernandez has a win in the UFC and he's not that bad, so he's fine. But yeah, they're bringing in this kid to deliver a win to him. This is somebody they're going to want to build up in the UFC. He is a hype prospect from Japan, and his first fight in the actual UFC should be one that he could win. They're setting it up on purpose, so I expect him to do just that.
It is also nice that for the casuals we get a pay-per-view card, you get a couple more casual matchups in your head-to-heads. The fact that there's no points next to his name right now because he's a debutant.
Good point.
I mean, it's nice. It's not going to help the ownership a lot in GPPs where all of us, I think, is pretty consistent. If you find any new players, I think you may get a little bit less Ray exposure, but he's going to be the chalk of the card. For whatever that's worth, and some random $5, $10, 50/50s, you can find, a no badge in there. They might not play this guy. Who knows? Let's move on to the fight that I think is the target both sides fight of the night, and we'll see if I am dead real early. Because we got Ricky Simón taking on Vinicius Oliveira, lock dog. Odds right now on this one, Ricky Simón is minus 250. The comeback on De Oliveira is plus 200. So the line has moved a little bit towards Ricky Simón, minus 150 to end inside the distance. I am picking Ricky Simón, who is 8,900 on DraftKings. Oliveira, though, is 7,300. Look, these guys, we got good volume from both of them. They both throw. Simón can grapple. When Simón's in fights, they typically score highly. Oliveira's right there. You saw his debut against Sopaj, which was a fantastic fight. Tons of volume. I expect grappling. I just expect points regardless of who wins. So while I'm not picking Oliveira, he's a borderline. I kind of tier my dogs between a primary and secondary dog. The reason he's not primary all the way to the top is because I'm not picking him straight. And there were quite a few I picked straight. But Simón, if he was 9K, he would be my second favorite 9K play outside of, Ray, who we just talked about. I just love this fight. I think I made that pretty clear. Monk, do the stats support what I think I've seen with my eyes?
I think so. I mean, Ricky Simone was a fantastic DraftKings play until these past two fights haven't really gone his way. Obviously, dropping a 5th round finish to Song Yadong and then getting beat by Mario Batista. But he's put up 111 against Shore, 106. Look, he's landed several takedowns in those wins, but then you look at the losses, he's also landing takedowns in the losses, which is not a great sign. However, this is a gigantic step down. Like, Oliveira looked great, sure. And that knee was, nothing short of spectacular. But we're talking about somebody named Bernardo Sopage. We're not talking about Mario Batista or Song Yadong or Jack Shore or even Brian Kelleher. So also, and I'm pronouncing it Loke Dog because I think he's named after the guy from Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. So I'm going to call him Loke
I love
Dog.
that movie. Wait, which guy though? I don't know. Remember their names? What the fuck?
Wait, the dude with all Marlon Dame, which Wayans?
Marlon Wayans, the Marlon Wayans character.
The one with he had like the pacifier in his hair and shit because Oliveira's hair's all crazy.
He's called Loke Dog in that movie.
That's Loke Dog, yeah.
Wait,
so that's what I assume.
I've got impersonation from that one. Hurry up and buy.
She's in the freezer. Actually, I think it was spelled LOC in that movie, but still, I digress. I have to take Simone here. I think we're getting. What is his salary? So it is still up there, 8,900. The odds were over. So yeah, coming off of 2 L's, we're not getting as much value as I'd kind of like. I was hoping people would, see those, like you said, the casuals with the last one. Maybe they see those 2 L's and they're like, oh God, I don't want to fight. Mix that with the huge knee. I don't want to play this guy. So give me Simone. I think his upside is great, but then again, things don't go his way. Or if Oliveira is able to get up and Simone gets tired. I don't know, man. Give me Oliveira too. So I agree with you, Sniper. Big GPP fight here, both sides. But I am picking Ricky Simone and what should be a big step down in competition.
Geek, what do you got for Simone?
I love Ricky here as a DraftKings play. What do I love about Simone in particular is that you know what he's going to do.
Yep.
Right? He's a ball of energy. He's the kind of fighter that beats you by having better cardio than you do. As a matter of fact, he hung in there with Merab Dawashvili like fucking gas tank for gas tank, man. These two guys were going at it like he's basically Merab light to me. And I love Merab. I play Merab and 100% every time he's on a card. You know this by now. You've been following me for years. Simone is almost Merab level for me in a guy that I always play. He's averaging almost 6 takedowns per 15 minutes. He's very good at getting them. If you get up, he just goes right back and gets another one, right? And he's taken on an opponent that has a 40, not 50, not 60, 40% takedown defense so far in his career. That means he's not very good at stopping takedown. This is set up for Simone to win. The way that so there's 2 ways that you play this fight, but the way that Simone loses is by knockout. He gets knocked out when in those periods when he's either going for the takedown or like it's the beginning and he hasn't quite gotten there yet. That's the danger zone. Those moments when it's standing. We've seen Simone get knocked out. I feel like he's gotten knocked out in his career. Was it against?
Song Yadong? Who? Ricky
Simone? Uriah Faber. That was the one that got me against Uriah. And it was a long time ago. Listen, I'm fucking old school. It's from 2019. But like we saw the knockout against Uriah. That was a shocker for me as well. But beyond that, like he's kind of dry. And Song Yadong knocked him out in round 5. But listen, that's Song Yadong. Round 5. I love Simone here. Yes, he could lose by finish. But if that doesn't happen, I think he's winning this fight. I think it'll probably go to decision, but I think we're going to get enough grappling upside, little love taps while he's in top, is little love taps, little taps, little double tap, triple tap, little touches.
That's a lot of points.
Score those points. And, I'll have massive exposure to Simone here. I love the price at 8,900. I think he's going to outscore some of the fighters that are priced above him. He projects better than the fighters that are above him in price. There's no fighter on this card, including the Japanese kid that we were just talking about, that necessarily definitively projects as a better scorer than Simone in a win. Could be the same. Could be less. I don't know. I'm not locked in that guy is going to score more than Simone. So for all of those reasons, give me Ricky. All kinds of Ricky. Ricky. Heavy exposure.
Ricky. Pick up the phone, Ricky.
I'm not doing I love losing. If Ricky wins, I'll pop one up there.
It'll be close to all in for me.
Ooh, big old take.
Yeah. I like me some Simone.
End the day. Those are the 13 fights for UFC 303. Hit the like button if you didn't already, but we're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. We got to talk kill shots. If you don't know what a kill shot is, it's an under-owned play to help you take down a GPP. We don't want chalk. Try to keep it to underdogs. Ricky's borderline kill shot, honestly, if you're going to load the fuck up on him. I don't think he's going to be that high on
Simone here and just load the fuck up on him. And if that's how you want to treat it as a kill shot, I'm good with that too.
I don't hate it. Monk ruling, I don't think Ricky's going to be that high owned.
I hope he's overlooked because I'm going to have a shitload of them, like Geek said. But 8,900, I don't know. I can't.
That's not really a kill shot, but I do like it. If you want Gillian all in, I'd allow that as a kill shot. Robertson.
All right. We'll let Geek do a double underlooked or potentially overlooked favorite kill shot. Gillian and
I'm not Gillian. No, she's not for me. I think again, Simone's a much better play than Robertson.
Gotcha. My kill shot, I am going to roll with Macy Chiasson.
Yeah, that's a lame kill shot.
Oh, that is chalky. I forgot how chalky she was going to be.
Yeah, that's
in my defense. I had it written down earlier, and you saw when I looked at the odds, I was surprised. Yeah, I was not alone for that. So actually, let me scan real quick. Monkey got one handy. That is too chalky.
I'll give you mine. I'll give you mine. My kill shot, my underdog is going to be T-City, Brian Ortega, my boy, veteran savvy. Puts it on the it's I know it's 7,800 whatever. I'm going with T-City as my kill shot. Of course, Simone is an all-in play.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat then too and go over the salary. Because I love Jean Silva's upside.
Yeah, go Jean.
And I think he is going to go overlooked. So give me Jean Silva.
I want yours to be Barrio.
I will adhere to the rules and pick Marc-Andre Barrio. Yes.
If you make me play by the rules,
that's
then
I'll
go
with Joe Pfeiffer. Let's go. 7,200. This boy's going to be so overlooked. I think a lot of people are going to be on Piper. Not a lot of 9K guys. One of them super expensive, and one of them's a terrible choice. There you go. Give me some MAB.
I was hoping that you'd go there so that at least one of us went there with this breakdown. Good stuff.
Runner up Cub Swanson for me.
Exactly what I was about to say.
I feel like all three of us would probably like if I had to choose another one. Yeah.
All right, you guys got anything else for UFC 303 before we get the fuck
I'm super stoked for this card, man. 13 fight card, weigh-ins on Friday. I'm really excited. A nice debuting fighter in Saruya. I'm really excited for this one. Great main card too.
Yeah, I got some bets going too. I think this is a fun card to parlay up some big parlays, especially if you're not afraid of putting in the -1. You know the plus. What is it on Silva, the plus 110 on Silva, get a little plus money in your parlay. So this is a fun one to parlay up some various combinations. I've already got a few going. I'll give those out on the Sharp app Discord as well.
I will be at my local sports book for this one, so I'm going to have plenty of action.
Nice.
I can walk right to the counter and be like,
live action.
Where you headed? The Meadowlands? What?
No, I'll be up at Foxwoods.
Oh, Foxwoods.
I will be up at Foxwoods in Connecticut. So
enjoy.
You're definitely going to be peeking in on some parlays because I'll need some extra action. I'll have my bets, but I'll tail a few others while I'm up there, putting a little extra coin down. All right, guys, that's C303. Smash the like button. Join DFS Army. Get more plays at the Sharp app. That's what we have for today. Enjoy the fights. Find a good place to watch it. Crack a few drinks. Enjoy. We'll see you in the Discord. Good luck. See you next time.